Now you see it, now you don't. Criminals try to make illicit cash disappear and then reappear as legitimate funds. Welcome to the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Orientation Recertification course for Trinidad and Tobago Financial Services Professionals. It will provide you with a refresher of all the things you learned in the KICSCO Orientation course. My name is Claudette, and I'm an investigator with the Trinidad and Tobago FIU. I need your help with this case. Before we start the recertification, here is a brief tour on how the Orientation Recertification works. This section also includes a quick review of the material that you learned in the Orientation course. No more papers, no more books. Everything is online. Complete this recertification either in one sitting or multiple sittings. It's your choice. The recertification materials can be accessed for up to 1 year using your ID and password. Here are the course summary notes from the KICSCO Orientation course. These are the key things that we will be reviewing in this recertification. Complete the recertification e-test, which is a 10-question multiple-choice test. The passing grade is 80%. A personalized certificate is available upon successful completion of this recertification. You can print it or save it as a PDF file. Our case study is fictional, but parts of the story have happened in real life to financial entities. Authorities came to a local bank to arrest the customer service manager, Leticia Valdez. She was completely surprised. Additionally, word got around that Frank, a longtime customer at Leticia's bank, was also arrested. I have been trying to figure out how this case should proceed ever since. Here is the story. This is Frank. He doesn't look like a criminal, does he? Think again. Looks can be deceiving. Frank was born and raised in Trinidad. He loves the sand, the sun, and the relaxed life he has grown up with. After he got his degree in tourism, he decided to open a surf shop on the beach. Since there were few surf shops in the area, business was steady. He made regular deposits at the local bank at the end of each week and gradually generated a good friendship with the customer service manager, Leticia. Business was going really well. He and his wife became really good friends with Leticia and her husband. Frank was getting so comfortable with the way things were going with his business that he really didn't put much thought into the decision to say yes when his cousin asked him for help. Frank's cousin told him that he had come into some money through an inheritance. He also said that he couldn't put all of the funds into his bank account for fear that his local bank would not be able to keep his new wealth confidential. News like that would spread very quickly. He told Frank that he needed to get his money into the financial system without his bank asking too many questions. More importantly, he said he needed to use the money to pay for extremely expensive medications and chemotherapy for his wife's niece, who had recently been diagnosed with cancer. Frank's cousin also told him that if he helped him out, he could use the excess funds in the account to buy whatever he wanted. Frank told his cousin that he would try his best to help him, but first needed to figure out the best way to deposit the funds into the banking system. Since he didn't know how to do this, he confided in Leticia and told her that he needed help in allocating funds for his cousin's family's medical expenses. He explained to her how important it was. Leticia was very sympathetic and offered to help Frank out, for which he was extremely grateful. The money started coming into his accounts in rather large quantities, and since it was from family, Frank didn't really question it. Family was family. However, at the time, he did think it was a bit strange that money from an inheritance would come in installments like this. When Frank traveled, he used the extra funds in his account to buy Leticia a new iPad. Although she was reluctant to receive the gift, she eventually did. Frank didn't think anything of it. He just wanted to do something nice. Frank never thought that what he was doing was bad. Boy, was he wrong.
My
name is Letitia, and I'm the customer service manager at a local bank here in Trinidad. I moved to Trinidad from Ecuador with my husband a few years ago. By way of contacts, I was able to get my job at the bank. I really enjoyed it. I have always been a people person and like to establish rapport with my customers. This is great for all those involved, me, the client, and the bank. Frank was one of my closest customers. Being a local surf shop owner, he constantly came into the bank to make regular deposits. We became really good friends. My husband and I even invited him and his wife over for dinner a few times. So when Frank approached me asking for help, I didn't even flinch. It was the least I could do. He needed to deposit US dollar funds into his account from a family member who said he came into an inheritance. He told Frank that this would be a regular thing for a while. In the tourism trade, we often get US dollars. Since Frank explained that this US dollar cash would be going towards treatment for a sick family member, I didn't hesitate. I helped him set up a couple of USD accounts at other banks as the money that he was depositing could not just all go into his bank account in one shot. He made sure to always make deposits under the $6,000 threshold so as not to raise any eyebrows or questions from bank management. Frank told me that he needed to keep his cousin's inheritance money and the illness of the family member confidential. He did not want people talking about it and was concerned that news like this would spread quickly. I was thrilled when he treated his wife and I to a spa weekend. We had a wonderful time. Over time, I realized I needed to think of some additional ways to get Frank's cousin's money into the financial system. Since I often visited my family in Ecuador, I could take some of the US dollar cash with me, thereby helping Frank even more. My Ecuadorian uncle could then wire money directly to Frank's accounts. The reason for the transfer could be the purchase of equipment and materials for the expansion of the surf shop. When Frank came over for dinner one day, he told me how he had purchased a small catamaran that would run charters and would be able to pass cash off as proceeds from the shop. Wow, all of this for family? I asked him. To which he replied that family was everything and that I should know this since I'm Ecuadorian. Everything seemed to be perfectly fine. We all went on with our lives, confident that we were helping out family. Letitia was great at helping Frank out. Family is everything. So he felt that they were doing the right thing. I mean, what else could they do? If the money couldn't get into the bank account, how would his family be able to use it? Frank had no idea that in the end what they were doing was wrong. He didn't know that the money was actually from criminal proceeds. He didn't know that his cousin's wife's niece was never ill. In hindsight, Frank really shouldn't have been so trusting. He thought that what they were doing was for the greater good. Now, he doesn't know what will happen to him, his family, or Letitia. It seems that in the end, you really can't trust family after all. What do you think of the story? Who do you think is truly guilty of a money laundering crime? How should this case proceed? Let's answer some questions to apply what you've learned in the AML orientation course. Please complete the e-test provided and you will have successfully concluded Kixco's AML orientation recertification for Trinidad and Tobago's financial services professionals.